The story of the burden of responsibility. In a distant kingdom named Devpura, there was a just and noble king named Rajendra. He was loved by his people for his fairness and wisdom, always striving to make the kingdom prosperous and harmonious. Yet, despite his deep commitment to his people, King Rajendra often found himself burdened by a deep sorrow. He could never escape the weight of the suffering in his land, for it seemed that every mistake, every crime, and every misdeed of his people, no matter how small, somehow found its way to him. One evening, as the sun set behind the palace, King Rajendra sought counsel from his most trusted advisor, a wise old sage named Vasudeva. The king was troubled, for the kingdom had recently suffered a series of bad harvests, followed by thefts and unrest among the people. The king believed that it was his fault, that his rule had somehow led to this suffering, and it weighed heavily on his heart. Vasudeva, the king said, "I am burdened by the suffering of my people. I do everything I can to ensure their welfare, but still, they struggle. How is it that, despite my best efforts, their sins seem to come back to haunt me? Is this not a king's responsibility?" The sage looked at the king and nodded gravely. "Your Majesty, it is indeed true that as the ruler of the kingdom, you carry a special responsibility for the well-being of your people. But you must understand that the king, while tasked with guiding his subjects, is also subject to the laws of responsibility. Just as a person's actions affect those around him, so too does the king's duty bind him to the suffering and sins of his people." To make his point clear, the sage told the king a story. The tale of King Indrajit and the burden of leadership. Once, in a neighboring kingdom, there was a wise king named Indrajit. He ruled a prosperous land where people lived in peace and harmony. However, despite the overall happiness in his kingdom, the king had grown weary, for the suffering of his subjects weighed heavily on him. One day, as King Indrajit sat upon his throne, he summoned his most trusted Purohit, priest, a learned man named Raghunath, to seek guidance. "Raghunath," the king began, "I have done everything in my power to ensure peace and prosperity in the kingdom. But still, my subjects suffer from illness, from natural calamities, from petty conflicts. Why must I bear this burden? Why must I feel the weight of their misfortunes upon my heart?" Raghunath, a humble and wise man, replied, "Your Majesty, this is the burden of leadership. The king, by virtue of his role, is the protector of his people. When the subjects of a kingdom fall into sin, it is the king who bears the responsibility for not guiding them properly. Their suffering, their wrongdoings, come back to the king's door. But this burden is too great to bear alone," the king lamented. "I am but a single man. How can I carry the sins of an entire kingdom?" Raghunath nodded, understanding the king's grief. "The weight you carry is indeed heavy, Your Majesty. But you are not alone in bearing it. The king is not the only one who suffers for others. Just as you bear the sins of your subjects, there are others who bear the sins of those they are responsible for. The burden of others' sins." To illustrate this, Raghunath told the king of a tale from the past. There was once a great guru named Suryanarayan, who was renowned for his teachings and wisdom. He had many disciples, and they loved him dearly. One day, a young disciple named Vikram committed a grave mistake, dishonoring his guru's teachings by engaging in wrongful acts. Though Vikram repented and sought forgiveness, the guru, Suryanarayan, was deeply troubled. He felt the weight of his disciple's sin upon him. Suryanarayan meditated deeply, seeking guidance from the divine. A vision appeared before him, and in it, Lord Vishnu spoke, "O great guru, you have indeed been a source of wisdom and light for your disciples. But know this, when a disciple falls, the guru must bear part of the responsibility, for the guru's teachings are meant to guide the soul to righteousness. Just as the king suffers for the sins of his subjects, the guru suffers for the misdeeds of his disciples." Raghunath paused and looked at the king, who was now listening intently. Similarly, Raghunath continued, "A husband, bound by the vows of marriage, shares in the burdens of his wife's actions. When the wife strays from the path of righteousness, it is the husband who, as her partner and protector, must bear the consequences, for their lives are intertwined." The king, moved by the sage's words, asked, "But how does one relieve oneself of this burden, Raghunath? Is there no escape from the weight of others' sins?" The sage smiled kindly. "There is always a path, Your Majesty. While the king, the priest, the husband, and the guru must bear the sins of those they are responsible for, they also have the power to guide their people, their loved ones, and their disciples toward righteousness. It is through guidance, correction, and compassion that one can lessen the burden. When the king rules with fairness, when the guru teaches with clarity, when the husband supports his wife with wisdom, and when the priest offers sincere prayers, the burden lightens. It is the effort to bring others toward goodness that will ultimately free you from the weight of their sins." The moral of the story: the king, the priest, the husband, and the guru all carry the responsibility for those entrusted to them. They bear the sins of others because of their role in guiding and protecting them. However, it is through wisdom, righteousness, and compassion that they can alleviate the burden and lead others toward the path of virtue. The weight of responsibility may be heavy, but the power to uplift and guide is within them. Through their actions, they can help others navigate the complexities of life and reduce the impact of their wrongdoings. Thanks for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to give it a like, share it with others who might benefit, and subscribe to the channel for more valuable content like this. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.